Oh, Jorge, such drama this weekend. What's that on my hand? Oh, nothing. Oh, hey! Hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of Drag Race UK Season 2, Episode 4, and Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. Lots of drama, lots of information, and, well, we've got a lot of things to do this episode. The first thing we have to do is thank my Tipperdoos: Edmund Mohammed, John Dwyer, Shirley Evans, Christine Grigorich, and Claudia Stein. You're all beautiful. I love you all so much, and thank you so much for supporting me here on the Fingerdoo Review. If you would like to be a Tipperdoo, the link is down below in the description box. I also want to thank Ryan Percy on Instagram. He sent me more jewels. Shut up, apparently I'm not gilded enough. This beautiful ring. He also sent me a bunch of earrings. One of them, look at that, Aurora Borealis waterfall. That's what I call that. No, I love it. And then the other one that is fabulous. There's more, but this is the blue one. And the best thing is that these come off. And now, the reason I'm not wearing the earrings is I realize that none of my wigs are earring friendly. I'm so much not in the earring game mentally that all of my wigs just hide everything. So I'm going to be whipping up a couple of doos to feature the new jewels, and I would just want to send a thank out to Ryan once again for making me sparkle. All right, now let's get down to the important stuff. Jorge, drink me! Ooh, what is this with a bit of lemon? Oh, it's the Steinhardt Blueberry Gin. If you remember, John Dwyer sent me a bottle at Christmas because apparently I needed cheering up or some such thing. And this is from Antigonish, Nova Scotia, the Steinhardt Distillery. I'll put a link in the description. You know, I love gin and soda at the best of times, but a well-flavored gin, this isn't flavored, it just has blueberries in it. I mean, it's not added flavor, but and the antioxidants. All right, so let's get to it. We started this episode off with a very gagged group of queens saying goodbye to Asttina Mandela. They just couldn't believe that she was gone, and, well, that Tia was the one that sent her home, Sweet Marie. But as shocked and saddened as some of those queens were, there was definitely a sense of relief running through that workroom, I'll tell you what, that such a powerhouse had been gotten out of the way without any of them having to break a sweat. Seriously. Okay, it was mostly a whore who couldn't believe that the Baroness of Basic was still there. But she's bitter. Lawrence had a smart remark about Asttina getting what she wanted where that lip sync was concerned, which set Ginny off. No surprise there. Ginny seemed to be the only one genuinely upset to see Asttina go. Upset enough to snap at Lawrence for having something to say at any rate. Didn't I just say last week Ginny was already getting tired of Lawrence? Roll the tape. Harry, like a flash, said she left you new material and pointed to the fabric wall. To which Ginny hit back, it'll save you stealing mine. And then they laughed. Did I lie? Tia couldn't have cared less. She was using this moment to remind herself that she's a performer, and if she could survive this week, well, she could survive anything. I'm starting to really like Tia. I wasn't sure that I would. Watch, next week she'll be selling underdog t-shirts, seriously. The next day in the workroom, everyone, including Ginny, congratulated Lawrence on her win. In fact, Ginny led the cheer. Good for her. Ellie asked Tace how she was doing with Astina's elimination. Of course, Tace wasn't happy about it, but she said she wished Asttina had had more of a chance. Well, I gotta disagree with her. I think Asttina showed us exactly what she can do. She can dance, she's good enough in a rusical, and she can make a navy outfit. I mean, she had as much of a chance as any of the other queens, at any rate. Personally, I think Asttina was overconfident, and that made her relax a little too much. Either way, it didn't stop Tace from saying that Tia should have gone home for constantly being basic. To her face! I have to say that Tia took it like a champ. She didn't add any fuel to Tace's fire. In fact, it was Veronica who came to Tia's defense, bless her, pointing out that drag is not just about the clothes you wear. Hell, even a horror commented on the gross sheet seen in Tia so far. Tia just wanted a horror to drop her facade and be a human being. Or at least act like one. Thank God Ruth's video message stopped any more of them from putting their feet in their mouths, because they were all caught up in the TV references Rue was dropping. But they weren't caught up for long, because there was Rue with this week's mini challenge, the Great British Fake Off. The queens had to pick a cake from the Brit Crew's luscious bounty and sell it for all it's worth. Cue the inappropriate sexy innuendos. The standouts for me were Tia's Jammy Heart cookies, even though it got weird and awkward in the end there, but let's be clear, it always gets awkward in everyone's end. I don't care who you are. Bimini was hilarious with her politically motivated Brexit cake. Ginny's bumhole bickies were a big hit. I don't know why. Lawrence was a hoot with her high Clairs with the chocolatey skid marks. At least I think they were chocolatey skid marks. I could be confused, because chocolatey skid marks was my drag queen name in high school. The duds were Ellie Diamond, who wasn't funny in the least, but that didn't make her any less adorable. Although I'm beginning to think that Ellie shouldn't talk out loud to grown-ups. Tace having angry sex with her Viennese finger was vivid, to say the least. Sisters cupcakes were a stretch at best, but at least Veronica was there to play along with her death ray act out, even though it didn't help. Speaking of Veronica, what the hell was that? It was so odd and disjointed that I forgot why I was laughing at her. Seriously. But when the Lovin' Ovens were all turned off, it was Bimini and her highbrow humor that won the mini. Cheers to Bimini, seriously. Then it was time for the Maxi Challenge. Morning Glory, a live morning TV show to be hosted by the queens. Because Bimini won the mini, she got to pick her role, and then the rest of the queens would have to fight it out amongst themselves. The queens got down to work reading the scripts and character descriptions. Right away, Bimini took one of the host roles for herself, which impressed me because the hosts usually have way more to do, and then Bimini read the description of the host party animal. I see it now. Tace said she's a party animal, that she'd like to be a host too, and seeing as no one else had any issue with it, she was. As for the rest of the roles, they got snapped up with little or no fuss. Ginny was a natural pick for the hippy-dippy weather girl. Lawrence and Ellie teamed up again to be the agony aunts, or in this case, the dragony nieces, though what preschool presenting had to do with it, I still don't know. Tia surprised everyone, including herself, by teaming up with Ahura to be the Essex girl financial planners. Well, even Ahura was shocked enough to say okay, which left the goth party planners for Sister and Veronica. Well, Sister was thrilled. And then there was Rue to see how they were all getting on. His first stop was with Sister, Veronica, and Ginny, and you could tell that Rue seemed way more confident in what Ginny was bringing to the table than whatever it was that Sister was going on about. I'll give Sister props, though. She was selling her gothy concepts for all they were worth, and yes, Gothy Concepts was also my drag queen name in high school. I couldn't tell if Rue was impressed with Veronica's long and winding explanation about how she planned to follow up last week's win, or if she just didn't believe it. Either way, she was looking forward to seeing whatever it was she was talking about. Larry and Ellie were next, and right in the middle of Rue asking them what they had planned, Ellie chirped up asking Rue why she never says Ellie Diamond like she says Lawrence Chaney. I mean, the look on Lawrence Chaney's face was her answer right there. I'm so serious. The whole room stopped what they were doing so they could let their jaws swing freely. God bless Ellie. She's 21. This is why she shouldn't talk to adults. Rue didn't seem put out by it, though, but she did throw a dig at Ellie with regards to how well she didn't do with her custard tart thing. Too subtle? Tia and Ahura were next, and you could tell that Rue was impressed that they had teamed up after not being close in the competition. To be honest, so was I. And then Rue had an announcement that their acting coach and director would be none other than Lorraine Kelly, and if you don't know who she is, you must not be British or have watched Drag Race UK Season 1 Snatch Game. Just saying. And with that, the queens finished getting ready and headed to the studio for their live TV stint with the lady herself, Lorraine Kelly. She reminded the queens that it was being filmed live. There would be no retakes. They all had one chance to make this work. And then it was lights, camera, action. Bimini and Tace set the bar very high as the slut-dropping hosts. I couldn't tell when they were actually reading the teleprompter or improvising. Lorraine seemed particularly impressed by Tace. I did good. If Bimini and Tace's performance caused the other queens to worry, they soon stopped once Veronica and Sister went into action, I'm so sorry to say. Poor Veronica. She had no idea what she was doing or how she was doing it. Sure, she acted goth, but she forgot the golden rule of television. Be entertaining! Sister forgot it too, but in her defense, she was too busy complaining about all the wrong things Veronica was doing, which is exactly what you shouldn't do during an improv scene. Just saying. Not that Sister didn't try, but by the time she did get a word in, no one cared. Even Lorraine. Thank God Lawrence Chaney was next. What? Oh yes, and Ellie was with her too. Who was surprised that Lawrence killed this? Ellie did her best and she looked cute as buttons, but Larry crushed it. Literally. That poor Scooter didn't have a chance, I'm just saying. Why would she get on a toy like that? I'm sorry, but the star of this show was Ahura. And to be fair, that's because I wasn't expecting anything from her. I couldn't take my eyes off her, and that's not because of her nip slip. But I'd be lying if I didn't say it helped. Tia seemed worried that she might have been outshone by Ahura, but I thought she kept up with her beautifully. Plus, if they'd both been over the top, the whole segment could have gone south horribly. So, well done, ladies, to both of you. Seriously. Last but not least was Ginny Lemon. Well, she might have been the least if it weren't for Veronica and Sister. I'm so serious. I'm not sure if Ginny doing her scene alone helped or hurt her. But even though she went along with all the weather they were throwing at her, she stopped reporting on it and just made jokes and comments. To be honest, she became boring, poor thing. She certainly didn't give anyone cause to worry, is all I'm saying. But Sister was already worrying, even though Veronica didn't seem to be. It's a repeater badge, Ronnie, not a shield. And then it was Elimination Day. All the queens took a moment to congratulate Ahora's performance on Morning Glory, but the big surprise was Ahura saying she was happy that she got to work with Tia, even after Tia coaxed it out of her. Veronica felt badly for letting Sister down, and then felt worse, I'm sure, when Sister agreed that she did. Personally, I think Sister let her opinion of what Veronica was doing in their scene stop her from doing, well, anything, seriously. And that was a big factor as to why the scene failed. And you could tell the other queens were thinking it too. Okay, well, mostly Lawrence. But before they could talk about it anymore, Ginny reminded everyone that they still had a runway to get ready for. And while the other queens were painting, Ginny checked in with Sister. Clearly, she was letting her feelings affect her performance. It's hard for some people to be competitive, and when you combine that with the need to be polite with the chorus of voices in your head, you're bound to be blaming others. I mean, feel insecure and small. Seriously. And God bless Ginny for having a listening ear and a smelly hug to boost Sister up. And yes, Smelly Hug was also my drag queen name in high school, although I'm not proud of it. Another duo who were in fear of being fast friends were Ahura and Tia. They started bonding over plastic surgery, especially Tia's lack of upper lip. To fill or not to fill? Have we just stopped relying on makeup altogether, people? Seriously. The queens started bonding over their insecurities about their looks. Who'd have thought that these two queens would have the same issues? I'm so serious. But I think the move that really brought them closer was Ahura admitting to slagging Tia off during last week's Untucked. She said it wasn't fair of her and that she genuinely felt bad about it now. And then the tears started falling. Ahura is her own worst enemy. She's never had drag friends, and all the support that she's been feeling from the cast as a whole is starting to chip away at that crusty exterior. It was beautiful. And then it was time for the runway. I just have to say, this is my new favorite dress en route. She looked gorgeous. Michelle Visage looked gorgeous too, but how couldn't she, being sat next to Alan Carr looking stunning in that gorgeous jacket? And of course, they were both joined by Lorraine Kelly, who is back from her directorial duties. Veronica was first. Her Medusa pig mashup was a total Fingerdoo for me. It was a little different for our Ronnie, but she looked delicious. I mean, gorgeous. We should order lunch. Sister was next, and even though her werewolf mummy was a little simple, I loved her padding for this look, and her awkward walk made it a Fingerdoo for me. And who doesn't love a merkin, I'm just saying. Bimini's slutty Playboy bunny was rough. She wasn't wearing eyelashes, her wig needed combing, and short of her being red, this was still just a leotard look, so sadly, it was also a finger don't for me. Tace's vampiric Bride of Frankenstein was stunning and a clear Fingerdoo for me. And I have to say, I just love this dress. Oh, well done, Tace, seriously. Ginny Lemon was another finger don't for me. I understand where Ginny's coming from, but at some point in this competition, she has to stop looking like a thrift store party costume. Where's the presentation? Where's the perfecting a look? Even Lorraine seems stymied, I'm just saying. And then my Glaswegian teddy bear hit that catwalk hard. Her Bride of Frankenstein, mad scientist, Leatherface of the Lambs look was an absolute Fingerdoo for me. The piece of resistance was her own face hanging off her arm like a stole. This has to be my favorite look of the competition to date. Seriously. Ellie Diamond's Goblin Werewolf was another Fingerdoo, although I would have been more impressed by it if Ellie had painted the fur on her fun fur chaps to look more like actual wolf hair. Just looked a little flat for me, I'm just saying. Okay, so don't ask me why I forgot to include Tia's runway in this review. I don't know why. I actually liked this. I thought she looked fantastic. Who doesn't love an Egyptian voodoo priestess? Seriously. Last but not least was Ahura, who looked lovely in her Elvira corset, but this look really didn't take off until she took off her wig and her scalp underneath it. Then it became a total Fingerdoo for me. Although it still wasn't a monster. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. First off, Rue announced that Veronica Green, Sister, Bimini Bon Boulash, Ginny Lemon, Lawrence Chaney, and Ahura were the tops and the bottoms of the week. So, Tia Coffee, Ellie Diamond, and Tace were safe and gladly frigged off to the Untucked Lounge. First to be judged was Veronica. No one had a problem with her runway, and everyone agreed that her performance in Morning Glory was a fail. Rue pointed out that she hadn't worked out a bit to do via the teleprompter, which would have given her and Sister at least a little something to work with, seriously. Poor Ronnie felt so badly that she apologized to Sister in front of the judges. Again! Michelle started Sister's critique off with a compliment. She liked the red hair on her goth girl. And that was all she had to say about it. I'm glad Michelle read her for not being bolder and making better use with her moments, because clearly someone had to. Alan brought the whole critique home by not being impressed with Sister's runway. It was, dare I say it, basic. Sister's response to it all? The disappointment is real. Bimini was another fave of the judges. Alan was impressed with her morning show hosting skills of slap dropping and reading a teleprompter. Apparently, they're hard to do at the same time. Just ask Lorraine. Speaking of Lorraine, she was impressed that Bimini never got out of character. But Michelle had to complain about something. She read Bimini for the scraggy wig and the no eyelashes of her runway. Well, someone had to. Ginny's critique was weird for me. There's a lot of hand-holding going on in her critique. Clearly, no one was impressed with her performance as the weather girl, but Michelle complimented her on her familiarity with improv, even though she stalled out in her scene, and Alan thought Ginny let her mania take over the role, but he also let her know how impressed he was that she made the weather girl Australian. Not that she really did anything with it. Lorraine thankfully pointed out that they never really did find out about the weather, and Rue said that Ginny was one note and didn't take her scene to the next level. Even Michelle told her that her hair and makeup was mediocre in the best way possible. Thank God Alan asked Ginny why she doesn't wear a heel. Of course, Ginny has a medical problem that keeps her from doing that, but I'm really glad Alan asked if her boots couldn't have been a nicer color. Seriously, it's all about details. Lawrence Chaney was next, and not only did the judges love everything about Lawrence this week, but they also agreed that Lorraine Kelly better be worried about Lawrence stealing her job. Including Lorraine. Last but not least was Ahura, and she was another one the judges had nothing bad to say about, although Alan was glad that she removed her wig on the runway because he thought her look was a little boring up till then. But all in all, it was a great night for Ms. Bitchface, I'm so serious. Back in the Untucked Lounge, the safe queens were glad to be safe, but that didn't stop them from dishing on who would go home this week. Tace and Ellie agreed that Veronica's runway was fabulous, but that she was going home this week. After a bit of coaxing, Tia agreed that Veronica would land in the bottom, but that she would slay the lip sync. So, yeah. Before the queens could discuss it anymore, the rest of the queens arrived, and at least 3 of them were gagging for a cocktail. Once they all had settled, the tea started flowing. Clearly, a horror was miffed that the judges didn't get her runway until the wig came off, but was very happy at what they had to say about her acting. To be honest, she was just thrilled to get critiqued by the judges at all. Seriously. Ginny was clearly stewing in her own little toxic pool over the judges' critiques. I'm glad she started off by pointing out the positive things that were said because they were her gifts, let me tell you. But her disappointment over the judges not getting what she's giving angers me. The judges are getting exactly what she's giving. Hell, I'm an ocean away and on a time delay, and I got what the judges were getting too. Crap improvising. I'm sorry that Ginny's supposed to be good at it, but anyone can be good at improvising alone, on a stage, in a bar, in front of a crowd who's been collectively having a few. No offense. This is the problem I have with some of these queens. They may be the best at what they do, where they perform, but that doesn't mean they're the best, period. And maybe if they put themselves out there more, they'd agree that there's always room for improvement. Seriously. At least a horror reminded Ginny that the world already loves her, and that seemed to warm Ginny's cockles. Thank God she didn't show us. Sister, who was clearly another one in the bottom, shared how disappointed she was to fail in a challenge she thought she would do well in, no matter how Veronica tried to cheer her up. And then the monster mashup hit the fan. Sister asked the room who they thought would be going home this week, and I'd just like to take a moment to say how presumptuous I thought that question was. Guessing who would be going home implies an opinion on how someone will do in a lip sync against someone else. The better question would be, who's going to land in the bottom? Seriously. Anyway, it was more or less announced that everyone, except Tia, thought Veronica would be sashaying. And Veronica took immediate offense to that, understandably. Clearly, Veronica was sick and tired of being overlooked or dismissed by these other queens. Even Ahora's own style of support fell on deaf pig ears. Veronica was so put out. You know, I'm starting to see why Veronica's had some trouble getting ahead in her career. At the end of the day, Sister wasn't worried, and also still a touch bitter. Back on the runway, it was announced that Lawrence was this week's clear winner. That's 2 Rue badges for Larry. Congratulations, you beautiful Scottish bastard. I'm so serious. And then Rue didn't sugarcoat it. She just let Veronica know she was safe, and that left Ginny and Sister in the bottom. Sister was thrilled. And then the controversy of the season took place right in front of us. The song started, Ginny blew a kiss, and then she just walked right off the stage. Sister didn't care or didn't notice. She just kept on lip syncing. I have to take a moment to say that I disagree with Tace. Ginny didn't bend to la creme it. Ben de la Creme wasn't up for elimination when she eliminated herself. If anything, Ginny Lemon Charlie hided it by taking the choice of who to eliminate out of Rue's hand. I would also like to point out that Charlie Hyde went home on a morning television challenge as well. Just saying. I'm glad that Ginny had her little moment on camera to explain herself, but I would like to point out that her exit was heavily edited. It was reported months ago that a queen, allegedly Ginny, would be eliminating herself, but the report said that she did it with expletives and by flipping the bird at Rue and the judges. Apparently, it was ugly, but I have to guess they decided to give her a kinder, gentler edit so as not to evoke the ire of the Drag Race fandom, or some such thing. Whether that's true or not, I'm truly sorry to see Ginny go. Personally, I thought she would either get kicked off that first episode or win it all, and, well, she didn't get kicked off that first episode. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't getting a bit tired of her. What you see with Ginny Lemon is what you get, and that may not be the best candidate for a competition is all I'm saying. Either way, I'm sorry to see Ginny go. I hope Sister takes advantage of the situation and pulls her head out of her padded ass and starts trying harder, I'm just saying. What about you? Are you disappointed that Ginny's leaving? Was she a coward who was just avoiding the inevitable, or selfish for taking up a spot in a contest she didn't want to fight for? What about Sister? Would she have been safe if Ginny hadn't left? All we can do is wait until next week's episode of Drag Race UK. That's if we have one at all. Who else is worried by Rue's message that the show is getting shut down due to COVID-19? For those of you who don't know, the show was shut down for 7 months. It wasn't shut down for that full 7 months because of the lockdown in Europe. It was also because during that time, Rue had to come back to America to shoot season 13. So what they did during the COVID lockdown and the 7 months that the Queen had to wait to start filming again was they kept video diaries and also did some online interviews with the Queens just to keep up with them and see how they were doing. So from what I understand, next week we're getting 2 episodes. We're going to get a video diary of the Queens in lockdown, and then they're going to give us episode 5, which is fabulous because I was worried that we would get this video diary next week and have to wait a whole other week to see what the hell happens. So, there you go. That's all she wrote. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up just down underneath me right there. And if you would like to support me, whether it's on PayPal, Patreon, or by buying merchandise on Redbubble, all the links for that are down below too. Don't forget also to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next week, miss me! Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. So much drama! I don't know. Would you walk off the show? I feel bad for the Queens that didn't make it. But then I also feel bad for someone like Joe Black who got kicked off that first week. I defended Ben de la Crème's walking off the show, but I blame her. I blame her for this new trend of Queens just eliminating themselves. I don't think that's very good. I like the fact that the consequence of you eliminating yourself is to be removed from any RuPaul adjacent stuff like the reunion and stuff like that. Still, I can't imagine if they would cancel her from a tour if and when that starts up because, well, I think the fans would go crazy. Mind you, Ginny could do her own tour. She's good at working by herself.